The restaurant was bright, large, and full of noise. Soft music played in the background. Rich people sat at shiny tables, laughing, talking, and enjoying expensive food. Glasses clinked, phones rang, and waiters moved fast from one table to another. Everything looked perfect from outside, but behind that beauty were tired workers hiding their pain. Emma was one of them. She moved quietly between tables, holding a tray with careful hands. Her shoes were old and worn out. The soles were thin, and the sides were torn a little. Her uniform was clean but faded from many washes. Her eyes looked tired, like someone who had not slept well for many nights. Still, there was a soft, polite smile on her face. She smiled not because life was easy, but because she had learned to stay kind even when life was hard. Emma never complained. She never spoke loudly. She did her work silently, serving food, cleaning tables, and saying thank you and please again and again. Many customers did not even look at her face. To them, she was just a waitress, invisible. That evening, the restaurant doors opened slowly. A tall man entered. The air around him felt heavy. He was wearing a dark, expensive suit. His shoes shined like mirrors. His watch looked more expensive than Emma's monthly salary. His face was serious, cold, and emotionless. This was Mr. Adrian, a billionaire. A man known for power, money, and control. People whispered when they saw him. The manager quickly fixed his tie and rushed forward with a fake smile. "Welcome, sir," the manager said politely. Mr. Adrian nodded once and walked inside without smiling. He sat at a corner table, the best one in the restaurant. From there, he could see everything. His sharp eyes moved slowly across the room. He was not looking at the food. He was watching the people. Then his eyes stopped on Emma. She was serving water at a nearby table. Mr. Adrian leaned back in his chair and continued watching her quietly. He noticed her old shoes. He noticed how careful she was. He noticed how she smiled even when someone spoke to her rudely. Something about her caught his attention. The manager sent Emma to his table. Emma walked toward him, holding a menu with both hands. Her heart beat faster. Rich customers often treated her badly. Still, she stood straight and smiled. "Good evening, sir," she said softly. "May I take your order?" Mr. Adrian looked at her without replying for a few seconds. His eyes were cold. Finally, he spoke in a flat voice. "Bring me the most expensive food on this menu." Emma nodded politely. "Yes, sir." He kept testing her. When she brought water, he said it was too cold. When she brought bread, he said it was too hard. When she placed the plate, he said she was too slow. His voice was sharp. Other customers started noticing. Some looked at Emma with pity. Some smiled quietly, enjoying the scene. Emma said nothing. She only apologized softly and fixed everything again and again. Inside, her hands were shaking. But her face stayed calm. After finishing the meal, Mr. Adrian leaned back and crossed his arms. He called Emma again. "The food was fine," he said coldly. Emma smiled. "Thank you, sir." He took out his wallet slowly. He placed cash on the table. Emma saw it clearly. The bill was $500. The tip was only $5. A few people at nearby tables noticed it and exchanged looks. Someone laughed softly. Another shook their head. The manager watched from a distance, holding his breath. Everyone wanted to see what Emma would do. Would she argue? Would she cry? Would she complain? Emma stood still for a moment. She looked at the $5 tip. Her fingers tightened slightly. Then she took a deep breath. Slowly, she picked up the money. She looked at Mr. Adrian and smiled. But it was not a fake smile. It was calm, honest, strong. "Thank you, sir," she said gently. Her voice was steady. The room felt quiet. Mr. Adrian looked up sharply. This was not the reaction he expected. His eyes narrowed slightly. Emma added softly, words that stopped his breath. "Sir, you gave what you wanted, not what you had." Silence fell over the table. The manager froze. The laughter stopped. Mr. Adrian's hand tightened around his glass. For the first time in many years, someone had spoken to him without fear. And the test had just begun. The restaurant felt different after Emma spoke those words. The soft music still played, but no one was listening now. Some people pretended to look at their phones. Others secretly watched the table of the billionaire and the poor waitress. The air was heavy, like something important was about to happen. Mr. Adrian stared at Emma. No one had ever spoken to him like that before. Not his workers. Not his partners. Not even his old friends. Most people smiled at him because of his money. Some feared him. Others wanted something from him. But this girl stood there with empty pockets and spoke with quiet confidence. "What did you say?" Mr. Adrian asked slowly. Emma felt her heart beat fast, but she did not step back. She kept her hands together in front of her and looked at him with respect, not fear. "I said thank you, sir," she replied gently. "You gave what you wanted to give." Mr. Adrian leaned forward. His eyes searched her face, as if trying to find a lie, a trick, or anger. But he saw none. Only honesty. "Are you not angry?" he asked. Emma shook her head slightly. "No, sir." People nearby leaned closer, pretending not to listen. The manager wiped his sweaty hands on his suit. He was afraid Emma might lose her job. No waitress ever spoke this much to a customer like Mr. Adrian. Mr. Adrian asked again, his voice colder, "You worked hard. The bill was high. Do you think this tip is fair?" Emma paused for a moment. She chose her words carefully. She did not want trouble. But she also did not want to lie. "Sir," she said softly, "fairness is not always about money." Mr. Adrian raised his eyebrow. "Then what is it about?" Emma looked around the restaurant for a second. She saw rich people eating, laughing, wasting food. She thought about her mother at home, sick, waiting for medicine. She thought about the long hours she worked every day. Then she looked back at Mr. Adrian. "It is about respect," she said. "I respect my work. I respect myself." Those words hit him harder than any insult. Mr. Adrian leaned back slowly. His mind traveled back many years. He remembered a time when he was not rich. When he worked small jobs. When people ignored him because he wore cheap clothes. He remembered how angry he felt back then. Somewhere along the road to becoming rich, he had forgotten that feeling. "You know who I am?" he asked suddenly. Emma nodded. "Yes, sir. Everyone knows." "Then why speak like this to me?" he asked. "Aren't you afraid?" Emma smiled gently. "I am afraid of many things, sir. Losing my mother. Losing my job. Losing my home. But I am not afraid of speaking the truth politely." There was no sound at the table now. Even the manager stopped breathing for a second. Mr. Adrian felt something strange in his chest. It was not anger. It was not pride. It was discomfort. And curiosity. "Tell me," he said, lowering his voice, "why do you work here?" Emma answered honestly, "Because I need to eat. Because my mother is sick. Because life did not give me many choices." "And still you smile?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "Because smiling costs nothing." Those words stayed in the air. Mr. Adrian stood up slowly. People thought he might shout. Some expected him to complain to the manager. Others expected Emma to be fired. Instead, he did something unexpected. He picked up the $5 bill again. Looked at it. Then looked at Emma. "This was a test," he said quietly. Emma was surprised. "A test?" she asked. "Yes," he replied. "I wanted to see how you would react. Anger. Tears. Begging. I have seen all of that before." "And?" Emma asked carefully. "And you failed," he said. Emma's heart dropped for a second. "But," he continued, "you failed in the best way." Her eyes widened. "You did not act for money," he said. "You acted with dignity." The manager let out a slow breath. The people nearby whispered. Mr. Adrian turned to leave. Before walking away, he stopped and said something that confused everyone. "I will come back tomorrow." Then he walked out of the restaurant. Emma stood there, holding the small tip in her hand, confused and shaking. She did not know if her life had just become better or worse. The manager walked up to her. "What did you do?" he whispered. Emma looked down. "I just spoke the truth." That night, Emma went home with tired feet and a heavy mind. She did not know that a simple sentence spoken with honesty had entered the heart of a billionaire. And once inside, it would change everything.
The next day, the restaurant opened like any other day. Plates clinked, chairs moved, and the smell of fresh food filled the air. Emma arrived early, as always. She tied her apron, fixed her hair, and took a deep breath. Her mind was still busy with thoughts from the night before. The billionaire's words echoed in her head again and again. This was a test. She did not know why a rich man would test a poor waitress. She only knew she spoke from her heart. Emma worked quietly, serving tables, cleaning spills, smiling at strangers. But today, her smile felt heavier. Every time the door opened, her heart skipped. She did not know if Mr. Adrian would really return or if it was just another strange moment in her hard life. Then, in the evening, the restaurant doors opened again. The same cold air entered with the same powerful presence. Mr. Adrian walked in. The manager noticed him first and nearly dropped the tray in his hand. Whispers spread across the room like fire. Emma froze for a moment, then forced herself to breathe. She straightened her back and continued working. Mr. Adrian sat at the same corner table. This time, he did not order expensive food. He only asked for a cup of tea. The manager hesitated, then sent Emma again. As she walked toward the table, her hands trembled slightly, but her face stayed calm. "Good evening, sir," she said politely. Mr. Adrian looked at her and nodded. "Sit," he said. Emma was shocked. "Sir, I'm working," she replied softly. "I know," he said. "Sit for 1 minute." The manager watched nervously, but Mr. Adrian raised a hand, stopping him. Emma slowly sat on the edge of the chair, unsure. "I thought about your words all night," Mr. Adrian said quietly. Emma lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry if I said something wrong." He shook his head. "You didn't." He looked around the restaurant. "Do you know how many people smile at me every day?" he asked. Emma stayed silent. "Thousands," he continued. "But their smiles are empty. They want something." He looked back at her. Yours was different. Emma swallowed. "Sir, I don't know how to pretend." Mr. Adrian nodded slowly. "That is clear." He took a sip of tea. "Tell me about your life." Emma hesitated. She never talked about herself. No one ever asked. But something in his voice felt real, not sharp like before. "My father died when I was young," she said softly. "After that, everything became difficult." Mr. Adrian listened without interrupting. "My mother is sick," Emma continued. "She cannot work. I pay for medicine. Some days, I skip meals." Her voice did not shake. It was calm, like she had accepted her pain a long time ago. "Why don't you ask for help?" he asked. Emma smiled sadly. "Everyone is fighting their own battles, sir." That answer hit him deeply. Mr. Adrian looked at her worn shoes again. He remembered his own mother sewing clothes late at night when he was young. He remembered hunger. He remembered shame. "When I was poor," he said suddenly, "I promised myself one thing." Emma looked up. "I promised I would never be weak again," he said. "I thought money would protect me." Emma listened carefully. "But yesterday," he continued, "you made me feel weak again." Emma looked confused. "I did not mean." "I know," he said. "That is why it hurts." He placed something on the table. It was a card. "Come here tomorrow," he said. "This address." Emma stared at the card. "Sir, why?" "Because I want to see if you are real," he replied. Emma stood up slowly. "Sir, I am just a waitress." Mr. Adrian looked straight into her eyes. "No," he said firmly. "You are much more." People watched silently as he stood up and left without another word. Emma held the card in her hand, confused and scared. Her manager rushed to her. "What did he want?" he asked. Emma shook her head. "I don't know." That night, Emma could not sleep. She looked at the card again and again. It was an office address. Very expensive. Very far from her world. She thought about her mother. She thought about losing her job. She thought about missing one day of work. But deep inside, she felt something different. Hope. The next morning, Emma wore her cleanest dress. She held the card tightly and stepped into a world that did not belong to her. She did not know that this step would soon change her life. and the billionaire's entire fortune. The next morning, Emma woke up early. She washed her face with cold water, trying to shake off the nervousness. Her heart beat fast. The card in her hand felt heavy, heavier than any tray she had ever carried. The address led to a tall office building in the center of the city. She had never been there before. Everything about the place screamed wealth: shiny glass doors, polished floors, and a receptionist with a perfectly folded uniform. Emma took a deep breath and walked in. Her worn shoes made a soft squeak against the shiny floor. She felt out of place, like a small leaf blown into a storm. The receptionist looked at her with curiosity, noticing her simple dress and tired eyes. Emma held up the card quietly. "I am here to see Mr. Adrian," she said politely. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled slightly. The receptionist smiled politely. "Second floor, corner office. Please wait here." She gestured to a small waiting area with soft chairs. Emma sat down carefully. Her mind raced with questions. Why did he ask her to come here? Was he going to give her money? Or was this another test? The thought made her heart pound harder. After a few minutes, the large glass doors opened, and Mr. Adrian appeared. He looked different today. His usual cold expression softened slightly. When he saw Emma sitting nervously, he motioned her to come inside. She stood up carefully and followed him into the office. The room was massive, with large windows showing the city skyline. A large mahogany desk sat in the center, papers neatly stacked, a computer glowing quietly. Yet, all of that seemed small compared to the presence of the billionaire himself. "Sit down," Mr. Adrian said calmly. Emma obeyed, her fingers clutching the hem of her dress. He leaned back in his chair, folding his hands on the desk. "Emma," he said slowly, "I called you here because I want to help you." Emma blinked. "Help me, sir?" she asked softly. "I don't need help. I have my job." Her voice carried honesty and pride. Even though she had nothing, she had self-respect. Mr. Adrian smiled slightly. "I know that," he said. "And that is why I want to do it the right way." He paused, letting the words sink in. "I have money. Lots of money. I could give it to you today and solve all your problems." Emma shook her head quickly. "Sir, I cannot accept that. I can work. I can take care of my mother. I don't need handouts." Mr. Adrian studied her carefully. He was used to people begging, pleading, or pretending to be grateful. But Emma was different. Her eyes looked tired, but they held strength. Her words were polite, but firm. She had refused him, not with pride or anger, but with honesty. That honesty surprised him, and it made him respect her even more. "You are right," he said finally. "I don't want to give you money like that. It wouldn't mean anything. It would not teach you what I have learned in my life. But I do want to make a change. For you. And for others." He leaned forward slightly, the first time his expression showed warmth. "I want you to lead something. A project to help people like you. Poor workers, children, families who struggle every day. I want to give them a chance." Emma's eyes widened. She could not believe what she was hearing. She swallowed hard. "Sir, I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything now," he replied gently. "I only need you to understand. I am testing more than your honesty now. I am testing your heart." He leaned back, crossing his arms. "You have passed every test so far." Emma sat quietly, absorbing every word. Her mind thought about her mother, about the sick children in her neighborhood, about all the people who worked tirelessly but received no help. A spark of hope grew in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, this man could do something good. But even more than that, maybe she could help make it happen. Mr. Adrian stood up slowly. "Tomorrow, I will show you the plan. But tonight, remember this, it is not about the money. It is about fairness, dignity, and kindness. Are you ready to do that?" Emma nodded slowly, her eyes shining. "Yes, sir. I will try my best." As she left the office, walking back into the noisy city streets, Emma felt something she had never felt before. It was not the comfort of money, or the power of influence, or even the fear of wealth. It was hope. A small, steady flame that promised that life could change, even for someone like her. And she knew, deep inside, that whatever came next would test her heart more than anything she had faced so far. And little did she know, the billionaire's fortune, his power, and his life would soon be touched by the simple honesty and courage of a poor waitress, changing everything forever. The next morning, Emma woke up early, her mind racing. She could not stop thinking about the conversation in Mr. Adrian's office. A project to help poor families. A chance to make a difference. Her heart ached with the thought of her mother, the sick children in her neighborhood, and the countless people struggling quietly every day. She felt nervous, but also a spark of courage she had never felt before. When she arrived at the office, Mr. Adrian was already waiting. The room felt calmer than before, but the tension in the air was stronger. He motioned for Emma to sit. "Good morning, Emma," he said. "Today, I want to show you the plan." Emma nodded, gripping her apron tightly in her hands. She was still wearing her simple dress. She looked like a poor waitress, but in her eyes was something rare: honesty, courage, and determination. Mr. Adrian placed several papers and folders on the desk. Charts, plans, and numbers spilled across the surface. "This," he said slowly, "is my life's work. My fortune. My company. All of it can be used to help people like you. People who work hard and are ignored by the world." Emma's eyes widened. She had never imagined seeing anything like this before. "Sir," she whispered. "I know what you are thinking," he said. "You are thinking I am offering money. But it is more than that. I want you to lead this project. You will decide how it works. Who gets help? What is fair? I am giving you responsibility, not charity." Emma swallowed hard. Her heart beat fast. She wanted to say yes immediately, but something stopped her. She knew that power and money could change people, sometimes for the worse. She also knew her honesty had impressed him. But would taking control of a billionaire's fortune change her? Would she lose her own values? Mr. Adrian leaned back in his chair. "I'm testing you again, Emma. This is your choice. You can refuse. You can walk away. But if you accept, you will have the chance to help hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And you will do it your way." Emma's mind raced. She thought of her mother's pale face at home. She thought of the children in the neighborhood who could not afford school supplies. She thought of herself, tired but still standing, still smiling, still honest. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft but strong. "Sir, I cannot take money just for myself. But, if I can help others, then I will try." Mr. Adrian's eyes lit up. "That is exactly why I chose you," he said. "You passed all my tests. You did not care about money. You cared about fairness, dignity, and kindness. That is what real power is." He handed her the first folder. "This contains the first group of families. The ones most in need. You will make the decisions. Your judgment will guide this." Emma opened the folder carefully. She saw names, stories, ages, illnesses, jobs, struggles. Her heart ached for each family. Some had lost their homes. Some could not afford medicine. Some children had to work instead of going to school. She looked up at Mr. Adrian. "Sir, I will do my best. I promise." He nodded, a rare smile on his face. "I know you will. And Emma, thank you. You have reminded me that even the richest man can learn humility from someone who has nothing but honesty." For the next few hours, Emma worked quietly in the office. She reviewed the files, made notes, and suggested plans. Mr. Adrian observed silently. He wanted to see her heart in action. Every time she refused a shortcut, every time she insisted on fairness, he felt respect growing stronger inside him. When the day ended, Emma walked out of the office with a sense of purpose she had never felt before. The city felt brighter. The air felt lighter. And for the first time in her life, she knew that her choices, her honesty, and her courage could make a real difference. As she stepped outside, she looked at the tall building, then at the streets below. She smiled softly. The poor waitress who had once worried only about her mother and herself was now standing at the beginning of something bigger, something that could change lives. And Mr. Adrian, the billionaire who had tested her with only a $5 tip, realized something equally important. He had discovered that true wealth was not measured in money, but in character, honesty, and the courage to do the right thing. That evening, Emma returned home. She hugged her mother tightly and whispered, "I have a chance to help more people, Mama. Not just us, many others." Her mother smiled, tears in her eyes, proud of her daughter. Little did Emma know, this was only the beginning. The choices she made now would challenge her more than ever before, but they would also prove that one honest heart can change a fortune, and even a billionaire, forever. The morning sun shone brightly over the city as Emma arrived at the office. She felt nervous but determined. Today was different. Today, she would not just help families. She would face the final challenge of her honesty, courage, and heart. Mr. Adrian was waiting. His usual cold demeanor was gone. Instead, he wore a calm expression, almost reflective. He gestured for Emma to sit. "Good morning," he said. "Today, you will make decisions that affect not just families, but the future of my company's charitable work. Are you ready?" Emma nodded, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She felt a mix of fear and excitement. She had learned so much, seen so much suffering, and now she had the power to make real changes. But she remembered her promise. She would never let money or power change who she was. For hours, Emma reviewed files, spoke with families, and made careful decisions. Every choice was guided by fairness, not by profit or attention. She made sure children could attend school, parents received medical care, and families could live with dignity. Each small act was meaningful, each decision thoughtful. Mr. Adrian watched silently. He observed her strength, her humility, her patience, and her compassion. Every time she refused to take shortcuts, every time she insisted on honesty, he felt something inside him change. He had spent decades testing people with money, power, and influence. He had seen greed, fear, and dishonesty. But Emma's courage, kindness, and fairness were stronger than anything he had ever encountered. As the day ended, Mr. Adrian stood and walked toward Emma. "I want you to know something," he said quietly. "You have not only passed my tests, you have changed me." Emma looked up, surprised. "Changed you, sir?" "Yes," he said. "I spent my life measuring people by their reactions to wealth, by their desire for money. I thought that would show me character. But I was wrong. You have taught me the true value of honesty, courage, and heart. And because of you, I want to do something more than just charity. I want to make a difference in the world." Emma's eyes filled with tears. She had never imagined her small act of honesty, her polite words after a $5 tip, could reach so far. Mr. Adrian continued, "I have decided to transfer a portion of my fortune to this charitable project. You will lead it, not as an employee, but as a partner. You will have the authority to make decisions, help families, and guide this work. Not because I am rich, but because you are honest, brave, and true." Emma shook her head softly. "Sir, I don't know what to say. I only tried to do what was right." "That is why I am giving this to you," he replied. "Because you value fairness and dignity over money, because you understand that helping others is more powerful than wealth." The rest of the day passed in a blur. Emma organized plans, guided volunteers, and visited families. Each step reminded her why honesty and courage mattered more than anything. When evening came, Emma returned home. Her mother hugged her tightly, tears running down her cheeks. "You have done so much, Emma. You are helping so many people." Emma smiled softly. "Mama, this is just the beginning. There is still so much to do. And I have learned that even one honest heart can change lives, even the life of a billionaire." Back in the office, Mr. Adrian sat alone. He reflected on the past few days. He remembered the $5 tip, the polite words, and the courage of a poor waitress who could have begged, cried, or been afraid. Instead, she had spoken honestly and stayed true to herself. That small act had taught him more than years of wealth, power, and testing people ever had. For the first time, he understood, money can test people, but kindness, honesty, and courage reveal true character. And Emma, with nothing but heart, had shown him the way. Weeks later, the project grew. Families received help, children attended school, and communities began to thrive. Emma became a leader, not because she sought power, but because she was brave, fair, and honest. Mr. Adrian often watched her quietly, learning from her even now. One day, a reporter asked Emma, "What changed you? How did a $5 tip make such a difference?" Emma smiled softly. It wasn't the money. It was the choice. A simple act of honesty can change lives. And sometimes, it can change a fortune, too. Mr. Adrian, standing behind her, nodded silently. The billionaire who had once tested everyone around him had learned the greatest lesson of his life, that true wealth is measured not in money, but in the heart, honesty, and courage of a single person. The camera pans out, Emma helping families, Mr. Adrian smiling quietly in the office, the city glowing with the sunset. The story closes with hope, inspiration, and the reminder that one small act of honesty can change everything.